I just want to make a quick little video talking about my top 5 favorite Stride units that have come out so far. G Booster 1 came out about 3 weeks ago, I think, and G Booster 2 is coming out in a couple weeks here. So I wanted to go through 5 of my favorite, like a fun to see played, fun to play against type thing. Going through the list, I'm going to try and not be biased about ranking wise, but we're going to go through it a little bit. All right, so number 1 is Root Flare Dragon. It's an axe skill that requires no counterblast, so you just flip over another copy of himself. Then if you have 2 cards face up in your G zone, you can retire an entire column of your opponents. So this is really good, especially against OTT where they have a Tom column set up, where they have a Gemini and a Tom to make that 16. Being able to retire it's just really, really good. Being able to get rid of 2 units and still get 3 drive checks is kind of like meeting in the middle between Dote and Dodex, because, you know, if it hits, you get a restand, so that's technically 4 drive checks, that kind of thing. Whereas this one, you get 3 drive checks and 2 units retired for free. The only downside to this is that if your opponent's not playing boosters because they're playing calculated, and then you only get to retire 1, but you still get to retire a free unit. There's no counterblast for it, and overall the artwork's really cool. I didn't initially think that this was that cool of a card, but after seeing it played and playing with it a little bit, I've had a lot of fun. So that was number 5. Number 4, I said I wasn't going to be biased, so that's why this is not number 1. But Miracle Element Atmos. So it's a Cray Elemental, so it can be played in any deck in Clan Fight or Extreme Fight if you really wanted to. But it's just a generic Stride unit that gets plus 10,000 if you counterblast 1 when it attacks. This makes some really deadly columns when it attacks. You can hit over 40,000 if you really want to. It's really, really strong. And it's versatile because it can be played in every deck and it only costs 1 counterblast for that 10,000. So it's really strong. You're going to either force a perfect card or force at least 5 cards out of your opponent's hand with this card. There's not that much to say with Atmos other than Atmos is really, really good. So for number 3, we have Sword Deity of Thunderbreak. So counterblast 2, and then you flip over a copy of himself, and then if you have 2 or more, you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, search for 2 cards among them, and put them into your hand. I really like him. He kind of revived Oracle Think Tank. Being able to scry and look out for cards is really good. You can add Toms, you can add Perfect Shields, you can add really whatever you need to, or whatever you want to. Overall, I'm not that into the artwork or anything like that, but you know, it's still pretty cool. Great card, really helps out Oracle Think Tank. Definitely, I like this card because it sticks with the, just like Root Flare, it sticks with the mechanics. Like Oracle's always been about draw power, but you know, drawing your triggers kind of sucks, so this is able to let you look at your cards before you do them. And it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to play with that deck. But so for number 1 and number 2, it's really hard. Like, these 2 have been tied for a little while in my mind, but I'm going to have to give the number 2 slot to Victoplasma. So you counterblast 2 and flip over a copy, just like with Root Flare and with Sword Deity. But you counterblast 2, you flip over a copy, and it gets drive check -1, and you discard 2 cards when it after it attacks to stand it. So the -1 kind of sucks because you only get a drive check twice with it, but being able to drive check 4 times in total on the turn isn't that bad. Definitely one of my favorite cards. Definitely helps out a lot of Nova Grappler decks. I think I just posted a Blau deck profile that plays this card, and it's absolutely great, especially when it gains since Stride units gain the name of the unit underneath. Adding Blau to this unit and then having Morganrot in the back row lets you scry your deck and look for cards. For virtually free, it's only 1 counterblast, but this card is counterblast heavy, so if you use it twice, that's 4 counterblast. So there's not that much room to use Cool Hanks or anything like that. Art-wise, I don't really like it. It looks like a bug to me. Like, I've tried really hard to look at it and find higher resolution art, but it just really looks like a Mega Colony card. Like, if you removed the sword and added like a staff or something, it'd probably be Mega Colony. Alright. So the number 1 slot, I fought really hard on this. Definitely going to have to be Ragnarclock. It really doesn't seem like it's that good, but since Stride forces perfect cards already, this card's going to go ahead and force even more. And what I mean by that is that when it attacks, it's counterblast 1, you flip over a copy, just like with all the others besides Atmos. And then if you have 2 or more until the end of the battle, your opponent cannot call grade 0 cards. So it's a Silent Tom effect that gets a crit. So Silent Tom on the Vanguard we've seen before isn't that good because most likely it's going to force a perfect shield anyways. But late game, especially with Gear Chronicle, after you put so much of their units back into the deck, having something like this to be your trump card is just absolutely phenomenal. The extra crit makes it just so much more deadly than if it was just, not being able to call grade 0 cards from hand. But as well, you can also stride this on your first stride turn and use its skill to have your opponent not be able to guard with grade 0s. It won't get the crit, but it will get the ability to that your opponent can't guard with grade 0. So this is really good if you have like a Chrono Jet on board and you don't think that you're going to be able to stride again next turn. You can stride over and use his skill. So not only do you get his skill, but as well, Chrono Jet's Limit Break 2, or not Limit Break, sorry, Generation Break 2 will be active next turn, making it so your opponent can't guard with grade 1 or higher unit. So this will definitely set you up for a lot of play. As for the artwork, it looks pretty cool. Looks kind of like a generic dragon to me. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's pretty cool. To me, it looks more like a dark regular or something like that. Like, there's just picky stuff. But his name's Ragnarok. I know in the full art you can actually see how he's actually like kind of clockwork, but for me he just looks like a monster on a monster. Alright, cool. So these were the top 5 cards, top 5 stride units that I felt were really, really good. There's not much of a better way to say that. Just wanted to make some more content and things like that. And if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and do all that good stuff. As well, in the description below, I'm going to link to 2 of my favorite channels, not just because they're my friends, but because they are genuinely good. They're who I go to when I want to watch Vanguard videos. So whoever this reaches, if you want to check those guys out, check out my channel, things like that, go for it. All right, thanks a lot, you guys. Have a good one.